Alright, so in the previous lesson, we talked a little bit about SEO essentials or search engine optimization. But in this lesson, we're going to be looking at social media, RSS, and we're also going to be looking at how to set up an email listserv and why it may be important. So the first thing that we're going to be looking at, or just a very general overview we're going to be looking at, is the importance of social media, why we need to use it, and how it can benefit us for bloggers or any new website. The second thing being, how can we use different types of plugins on WordPress to improve social media, make it easier for ourselves, and also just to enhance, social sharing on our website. Third thing is, how do you set up an actual email listserv, and then finally, how do we set up an RSS feed? So the first thing is social media. Why is it important, and how can we benefit from it? And I think the most obvious reason is that you can get a lot of search traffic just through social media. The ability to share something or the ability to tweet about something, I think, is extremely important. It's extremely important because your message can go across to so many people that you may not have direct access to, whereas potentially in building an email listserv or just raw Google searching, the traffic that you're kind of limited to is just those people that are directly interested in it. Whereas social media, it can kind of bring about people who may not directly be interested in it, but it may apply to them, right? Just through other people's followers and things like that. And 25% of the traffic to an average person's website comes from social media. And I think that for us, especially as just starting off, that social media is important because it can kind of be jump-started to our website or jumpstart our website much quicker than search engine optimization. That's more of a long-term effect. That's something that does take some time to just build SEO, whereas social media, it can kind of come much quicker. It can kind of come much quicker than SEO. And it improves your interaction and retention of your users or of your customers or whatever it is that you're trying to make. And so there's a lot of different plugins out there. There's a lot of different tools. You can imagine that social media, if you had to if you wrote a new post, a new blog post, and you had to share it across all your different networks, right? It would be kind of difficult. It can be kind of difficult. There's Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all the stumble upon Reddit, those type of social media platforms, that it could be quite difficult to do all that. It would take quite a bit of time. And so if you're busy, that one of the best plugins, I think, in my opinion, is this NextScripts Social Networks Autoposter. And I'll show you actually how it works very briefly, but to sum it up of what it actually does, it allows you to post to multiple social networks automatically. So as soon as you write a new blog post, you publish it, and it goes live, well, now it'll be submitted to your different social media accounts. And I think that especially for people who are very busy, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily the best alternative, simply because it's always better to be completely not automatic. You are actually writing unique social media posts. But I think that especially in this situation, if you're very busy, that the NextScripts Autoposter is going to be your best bet. And we talked about this one before, the floating social bar. That was something that we mentioned in some of the top plugins that you should install for any new website. And this is just to share your posts or pages easier, and I'll show you how that works as well. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you is actually how to utilize some of these plugins, right? And so we remember how to install plugins. The ones that I'm going to be showing you is the floating social bar and also the NextScripts Social Networks Autoposter very quickly. So the floating social bar is pretty easy. Pretty much what it does, it provides this static or sticky floating social bar at the top. And so it's very easy to use. All you do is drag over the services that you want to be in your floating social bar. Say I want those, and then you just save it, right? And it'll show up on your posts, your pages, your media, whatever you want it to actually do. And then all we're going to do is, once it's saved, go over to one of our posts, refresh it, and see what it looks like. And sorry, my internet is a little bit slow right now. Not too sure why. But pretty much what you can see is that you have at the top right here, and because we have this menu item, it kind of gets stuck. But if you can see up here, it follows with us. It follows with us, and it for all your normal readers, they won't have this menu bar at the top, so this won't get interfered. They will be able to see it very easily. But yeah, it allows them to share it very simply. It looks nice, and it's very simple and easy to use. And I like that it stays with the user. Right. The next one I want to show you is this Social Networks Autoposter. And so what this one does, like I mentioned before, pretty much as you make a new blog post, or if you make whatever it is that you're creating, as soon as you publish it, will now get sent to all your different social networks. And all you have to do is just set up, add the different network. For example, if you want to put into StumbleUpon, all you do is you add in your password, things like that. You add in exactly what do you want it to say. Do you want to have the title, the excerpt, and then the URL, things like that. And you just enter that all in, and you just update the settings. And as soon as you have added all your different social networks, they'll all show up right here, right? And so pretty much you can literally send it to, let's see, there's probably maybe 15 to 20 different social networks that you can send it to. And I think that that's really great, because if you're busy, it definitely has a lot of power in that sense, right? The next thing that I want to show you is, email listers. I mentioned that before, where email listers are extremely powerful simply because the ability to be able to share something through your email listserv. It's a lot. You have a lot higher retention rate with your email listserv than just simply getting somebody to follow you, right? For somebody to actually enter in their email into something, they're more likely to statistically to open up that email and to actually read it than if they're scrolling through their feed on Facebook or Twitter, things like that, right? So what I would suggest is to sign up for some type of email listserv client. For me, I use Mailchimp because they allow 2,000 free emails in your email account. Some of the other ones, they like Aweber, they charge straight from the beginning. I think it's like $19 or $5, something like that, where you have to get charged from the very beginning, and then it's a more additional charges as you pass that threshold. But for Mailchimp, if you're under 2,000, at least in the beginning, it'd be very useful for you to utilize Mailchimp's service. So just sign up for a free account. It's Mailchimp.com. And so what I want to show you though is one of the plugins that I installed recently that is very useful for integrating Mailchimp with your WordPress website. Is this Mailchimp for WordPress Lite, and it's by Danny Van Kooten. And you can just download this the same way that you would normally download any of your plugins. But pretty much what it is, what you're going to do is it's very easy to set up. All it's asking for is your API key. And so you click Get API Key right there, you copy it over, and then you just save the changes. And so pretty much what this does is it provides you with this form that you can set up on your sidebar or wherever it is that you want with a widget, right? We showed you how to use widgets before in appearance and widgets. And so say we want a Mailchimp sign up form in our sidebar. All we're going to do is find the new widget right here because we installed a new plugin, the Mailchimp sign up. And let's just put it at the top. And so it's very simple. As you can see, there's no options for you to select from. So we just save that and we see what it looks like. And so one of the So I guess it asked me to actually select for a Mailchimp list, so that's what I would do in my settings. But you guys can get the idea of actually how to do it. You just have to select a list, and that's just simply because when you sign up for a new Mailchimp account, you have to make different lists, right? A list is, you can have multiple lists. For example, you have multiple different websites, you would have different lists, right? And all these emails that people sign up for through the website, they go to those particular lists. And so you just would set that up. But as you can see, it's very simple. You can add a little bit of text above or below it, and they can just enter in their email address and they can sign up for a newsletter, right? So that's very simple, very easy to use, and I think it's very useful to have, right? And one of the other things that that I thought was very useful is, let's try to go into this. Let's try to go into this checkboxes right here. So yeah, we would just check off the Mailchimp list. One thing that I thought was very interesting or very useful about this plugin in particular is you can add these checkboxes, and these are checkboxes for comments and things like that, right? So when you add the checkbox for the comment, right, when you save these changes, and they probably won't show up on this website simply because we're already logged in as an admin. I'm not too sure if it'll show that checkbox for us, but when we scroll down, you'll see, yeah, it does show up. So it'll have this sign me up for the newsletter. I think that's very useful because, you know, when they enter in a comment, generally they have to enter in their username, their name, their email, and then the comment, right? So you already have the email, and so all you're doing is just asking, well, do you want to sign up for the newsletter as soon as you make a comment? And so I think that's very useful simply because it provides them that just ease of use. You know, it's a very easy, simple step for them to do if they want to sign up for the newsletter. If they already took the time to comment on your blog post, chances are they're probably fairly interested in what you have to say. So they have this option, very simple to use. They don't have to, you know, use this typical newsletter setup up there, right? And so the next thing that I want to show you is, you know, these RSS feeds, right? What exactly is an RSS feed and why is it useful? As you can see in these follow us buttons that we have on our main website, we have Twitter, YouTube, RSS, and Facebook. And so RSS is important because, you know, it provides this, let's see what it looks like. And so this is the RSS feed that we have. It's with Feedburner. And so it just shows all the most recent posts that you have, and users can, you know, if they have some type of RSS feed reader, they can subscribe to it. And this is just very similar to kind of that email listserv subscription where people can just subscribe to it, the RSS feed from a certain blog. I actually use on my phone an app called Feedly. I think I didn't mention it here, but I wrote a blog post about it, of how I use Feedly with my social media. Right, and so Feedly is just an RSS feed reader, similar to many of these other RSS feed readers. Oh, it's actually right here, Feedly. And so it's good because it provides users the opportunity to subscribe in other ways. Sometimes they don't want to subscribe by email, they want to subscribe by RSS feed. Sometimes they want to subscribe by your Twitter, whatever it is. You just want to give them those options. So how do you go about doing that? So all you have to do is sign up with the Feedburner account, and it's powered by Google. So you just sign in with your Gmail account or create one. And I'm not gonna show you specifically actually how to do, because it's very simple to set up. But the only part that you may be confused of is what is actually your feed URL. So your feed URL for your website, for your WordPress website, is wp4alltv, or your domain.com/feed, and it's going to give you this very basic feed of what exactly, you know, it has the titles and the URLs of all your recent blog posts and a short excerpt of it. And you know, this is what Feedburner will utilize to actually create that nicer looking feed. But in reality, this feed, wp4alltv.com/feed, you would just replace the wp4alltv for your actual domain name. It actually completely suffices. So some people actually just use this as their RSS feed, and that's completely fine as well. That's one thing that's good about WordPress. But if you want to use Feedburner, it's good as well, because it allows you to kind of be able to track analytically how many people have signed up, how many people have subscribed, things like that. So that's why I think it's very useful. Right, so now you guys can kind of have that more of a more complete of a blog, because you know how to set up your RSS feed, email newsletter, and kind of the importance of social media and how to set up with some of the plugins.